Thank you, Nahush, for doing this. Really means a lot to me and our Yudi squad community. And so, first of all, thank you so much for sending that email, which I read, and I'm glad that we're connected now. Super
Yeah.
excited to share your journey with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, yeah, and I can't wait to like inspire a lot of people because I know your journey is like super inspiring. Of course, the Amazon, we're going to talk about Amazon and fun
Yeah.
stuff about Amazon. But before that, let's do a quick intro. Where are you from? What do you do right now? Like, what did you do? What did you study? And all the fun stuff about you.
Yeah. So I was born in Pune, Maharashtra, and then I spent 23 years of my life in Pune. So I went to Nan Prabodhini school there, and then I was at College of Engineering, Pune. So 4 years I studied electronics and telecom.
Hmm.
Uh, and then I was working there for a year at Avago uh, before moving to the US in 2015 for graduate school. So I went to
Nice.
Virginia Tech from 2015 to 2017, and uh, then Qualcomm, and right now I'm at Amazon.
Nice. I like how you're like, yeah, even it's Qualcomm and Amazon. But it's awesome. And Virginia Tech is also awesome. What did you do your master's in?
It was computer engineering, and my master's thesis was mainly in like reinforcement learning and Gaussian processes for like UAV navigation. So mostly in robotics slash machine learning.
Oh, that's
Although
cool.
I don't do anything related to that anymore.
Right, right. No, this is interesting because I know a lot of people are reaching out to me for computer engineering or like, for mainly fields which are not like software development because I talk a lot about
Right.
that and I talk
Yeah.
about project management, but I think this is going to be interesting because it's something a little different. So,
Yeah.
real quick, your TOEFL, GRE, IELTS, what was your profile like, if you
It's been a
remember?
while. um, GRE was 317, so not a great score, but I mean, I was expecting a lot more, but it wasn't harmful. And TOEFL somewhere around 112, I think, if I remember
Nice.
correctly. Fortunately, my profile from college was really good. Like I was always among the top two for all my college 4 years, and I had like a 9.6 GPA.
Very
So
nice.
yeah, it
And
was a pretty strong profile, I would say.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And did you have any work experience or you had no work experience?
I worked for 1 year at Avago Technology, so I was like doing like some firmware related stuff, which is embedded systems.
Embedded systems. Okay.
But I did have a lot of projects which I can talk about. Like College of Engineering Pune, 4 years I focused on doing a lot of. I had like 15, 20 projects, and then I had a couple of internships. So I went to IIT Bombay for like summer internships
Hmm.
for 2 years.
How do how can people uh, do that? Like, so how did you pick up those projects? Like, is that something you just passionate and you started it, or are the projects were the part of your curriculum and you just explored and you did it really well?
Yeah, so some of them were part of my curriculum. Some of them were. I'm sure there's a lot of colleges which have like robotics groups, uh, computer science teams, and all those different clubs where you can just like enroll. I think they have those entrance exams or quizzes, whatever, to get in. But once you get in, you can always explore more things. And I was really passionate about sports, so I played Coco for a long time. So I still did not do as much as a lot of other people did, but Coco was my first love, and it's always been. So uh, whenever I
Yeah.
got a chance, I did other things.
Cool. So obviously you chose Virginia Tech. Did you have other
hmm
admits before Virginia?
Yes, I applied to 10 places. I got 6 rejections. I'll tell you all the rejections. UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, UT Austin, University of Pennsylvania, Georgia Tech, and NCSU.
Wow.
All 6 rejects. Uh, I got into University of Florida, University of California, Irvine, Carnegie Mellon, and Virginia Tech.
Hmm.
So I had these four options. University of Florida had a little bit of scholarship. Carnegie Mellon had no scholarship. It's very expensive too. And Virginia Tech is a great story.
Hmm.
So
So yeah,
um,
why Virginia Tech?
yeah, so that was my first admit too. So I got it in early Jan, which is really early for admits, to be honest. And then within 4 days, I get another email saying I have been offered fully funded, like first year is fully funded with teaching assistantship, and then it also gives you stipends. So it was some $1,800 a month.
Hmm.
Uh, Health insurance covered everything. Like it was like a dream come true. Um, and basically, it's a 1 year scholarship, and then what happens usually is when you get to the school, you can always extend that scholarship. So you can either do another TA term in the second year, or you can be a research assistant. And uh, so you basically pay nothing,
Hmm.
and you make $2,000 a month.
Right.
So
That was
it was no
awesome.
brainer. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
no
yeah.
brainer to choose it. Yeah.
So did you do anything, or they just basically all you did was applied and then they just
Mm-hmm.
offered you?
Right. So Virginia Tech is a very interesting system. So at least when I applied, I don't know if it's changed, but it's probably similar. So they have two categories. One is Master of Science and one is Master of Engineering, like
Hmm.
all other colleges. But the MS admits all come with scholarships, full scholarships for
Hmm.
ECE. So for
For
electrical and computer engineering department,
hmm.
all MS admits come with a full funded TA for first year. And then all
So
these MEng admits come later.
so you saying that most of your classmate had full funded?
No. So these MS admits are very few. And rest people get an MEng admit, which
Okay.
is usually 3 or 4 months after the first round of admits. So first round is always MS, and all MS students are fully funded, but there are very few,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
all the others are MEng. And then obviously, MS students have to do a thesis, like a research.
Hmm.
MEng is more project track, and it is like you can move around. So if you're an MS, you can go to MEng, but you have to let go of the funding. And if you're MEng, you can move to MS, but it's harder because there's a lot of competition.
Hmm. So this is awesome. I mean, you
Yeah.
get full
Hmm.
scholarship. Matlab, you paid $0. The only thing you
Hmm.
probably paid is for your flight tickets,
Yeah. Flight tickets
and
and application. That's it.
right, and but that that covers that probably got covered because you get $2,000 paid every month as well.
Yeah. I
Uh,
started investing in my first year of master, so you wouldn't hear this
yeah,
anywhere. I
yeah.
had a Robinhood account back then.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. Maybe we should make another video on investing and
Oh, we can. I've been doing it for a long time now. So,
nice, very nice. Cool. So you obviously came to Virginia Tech. Got your. How was your experience at Virginia Tech?
uh, it was actually phenomenal. I mean, it in a sense that there was so much. Um, I mean, I grew as a person in those 2 years. Definitely, it was a roller coaster ride. So it was fun. There was times where I was like, "Why am I doing this?" Because that's what happens in research. Like you just hit walls after walls,
Hmm.
and you have to just find a path in that maze somewhere. But it was a very, very interesting time. Especially, I didn't really focus too much on like courses, which a lot of people do, to be honest. But I don't know, maybe it was because it was free. I was like, whatever, I'll just take anything. I focused a lot on research, and I really enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed my research. I used to spend 10 to 12 hours a day just in the lab.
And
because it
that
was very
research
interesting.
was your professors or the person who, like, the teacher you who was funding you, right? So you were
Right.
helping.
So right, what happens is when you go in as a TA, you are still a teaching assistant to someone, and
Hmm,
that gets assigned. So that is usually you're teaching some labs and some courses to undergrad. Apart from that, you still have to find your research professor who you will do research under. So it's not easy. It's a lot of work. You're doing TA, you're doing your coursework, you're still trying to find the professor who would take you under him him or her in their lab, and you can start doing your research.
hmm,
So in first year, you're not getting paid from the professor because you have your TA contract.
hmm. Okay.
So TA is covering all your expenses. In the second year, you should do enough work in your first year so that the professor says, "Hey, okay, come to my lab and uh, let's get let's make this your master's thesis, and I will fund you." So usually the second year is when you become a RA, which is the research assistant.
Oh, okay. So that's how it works. Okay.
Hmm.
And
And
research is compulsory for you because you're funded.
yes, for masters you have to do a thesis. So 7 courses and plus thesis. And masters of engineering is 10 courses plus project.
That's could be just for Virginia Tech, because in Chico State I didn't have that.
Right. It's only Virginia Tech.
Right.
So if
Okay.
they are like, hey, we are giving you money, you better produce some papers for us.
Yeah, got it. Okay. So did you finish doing your research and did you write a paper?
Yeah. My paper has been like we went to one conference. It's published also in a journal as well in IEEE Robotics and Automation. Got recently published. It was very interesting. So I got lucky again. I think I have a lot of blessings, you know, uh, to to be able to have all these things. The professor also joined at the same time I did in 2015, and he was looking for new students.
Hmm.
And it so happened that he was an alumnus of College of Engineering Pune, and he established the robotics lab there, and I worked in the
Nice.
robotics lab. So I know people are probably not going to believe what I'm going to say, but this has happened. I have email proofs. The professor emailed me asking if I wanted to join the lab, and this happens very rarely because a lot of times you have to email your professors, right? Hey, I want.
Yeah.
He emailed me because he saw that, hey, I'm from the same college. I'm
Yeah.
joining Virginia Tech as a master student. He's like, "Hey, come check out my lab. I'm getting new students." I was literally the second student in his lab. I didn't want to do robotics back then, but when I went to his lab and I talked to him, it was more about algorithms and like um,
Hmm.
more like uh, machine learning
Hmm.
application in robotics kind of a field, and it was really new and something fun, and also opportunity of funding. So I thought, okay, this is it.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm guessing you took 2 years and you finished. Did you have any internship during that time, or
Yes. So after first year, I went to Qualcomm for 3 months for my summer internship.
how did you get that internship? What was your internship search strategy?
Right. I have so much luck in my life now that I think about it. A lot of privilege, and I'm very thankful for that. Uh, Basically, what happens is, I'm sure I've heard this on a lot of your other talks too. Uh, Internship
First of all,
search,
I'm
like
just surprised that you still watch my videos.
I do, I love that. I love your videos a lot,
Okay.
and it's very interesting. They're always running in the background for me, and sometimes I actually like when I'm eating.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Anyway, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, so when you usually move to the US in sometimes it's August, right? When you're coming for a fall semester internship. Uh, Like the companies start coming to the campus right away, like in September, or like sometimes
That's the
within
first career fair, right?
couple of weeks, and you're like just clueless. You're like setting up things, you don't know where to go, you don't know anything, and just happens. Uh, and I was clueless too. I was like, whatever, this is too early. I didn't know. A lot of people think, hey, this is too early for next year. Why am I doing it right now? So I didn't do anything either. I was planning to apply to places in around November, December timeframe, and I started applying. Like I applied to Apple, Google,
Mm.
maybe Intel as well. I was mainly looking for, like embedded side or some robotics work, and I didn't get any calls. But one fine day, mid-December, I think it was the 15th, because I remember my birthday is on the 21st, and that's when I gave the interview. So on the 15th, I get an email from Qualcomm. Then they're like, hey, you are invited for this interview. Are you interested? I'm like, first of all, how did you even get my email? I did not even apply on any website or anything. I didn't go to any career fairs or anything. Maybe LinkedIn. I don't know how they did it, but it just happened.
And that was not even LinkedIn message. It was more like
It wasn't direct
email.
email.
Oh, okay,
hmm
okay.
Uh, Maybe so. One possibility is there is a Virginia Tech student portal where you can upload your resume. So I
Hmm.
think the recruiters have access to it as well. That is one of the things that I think could have
Hmm.
happened, or LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has my resume and that had my email on it. So, but
Hmm.
uh, 15th they said, hey, you have to do the interview in like a week,
Hmm.
and like the semester exams were going on. So I said, okay, let's do it on the 21st and 22nd. So I gave my interview on the birthday. It was fun because I slept at like 5 a.m. in the morning, got up at 10, and I was on the East Coast, so Pacific time, maybe at like 3 o'clock. The interviews went well because it was mostly embedded, and I was really good at like all the device stuff.
Hmm.
So I didn't really have to study much because
What was the position for?
the position is like software engineer in the sensors team.
Okay.
But when it comes to device companies like Qualcomm, or the work I'm doing right now, even in Amazon, when we work on like the OS or drivers or kernel
Hmm.
level, then it doesn't get as complicated as software interviews. Like no
Hmm.
graphs and no crazy
Like
stuff.
no data structures.
I mean, there is data structures, a lot of it, but nothing, no crazy dynamic programming things. They will
Hmm.
mostly focus on like uh, linked list and lot of memories. And do you understand how memories work, and multi-threading and OS, more like
Hmm.
operating systems related.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So they
So
told
can I
me.
ask you something? So you said Qualcomm reached out to you, and that was
Mhm.
the interview you gave. We'll talk about the next steps of what happened. But
Right.
before that, how many companies did you apply, and how many calls did you get?
I applied to like 8 to 10 positions, and I didn't even get any calls. Like just this is the only thing.
Wow. So you only applied to 8 to 10. That's the first time I'm hearing somebody said, like, I only applied to 8 to 10.
Yeah, maybe I was just ignorant.
Uh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
secondly, this was my thinking as well. Since I was doing research, my professor doesn't allow anyone to go on internships.
Hmm.
So literally, all my lab was in the lab during the summertime. So that was my plan anyway initially, and this just happened.
Okay.
Then I talked to my professor. I said, hey, I have to go. This is like a big opportunity for me. He wasn't really happy about it, but it worked out at the
Nice.
end.
Okay. So what was the process of that interview? Like, was it, I'm assuming the first round would be recruiter round and then the second will be the on-site or like tech interview?
Surprisingly not. So it was, she emailed me like the recruiter and said, just give me 2 days when I can schedule two phone interviews. And I just gave 2 days and they scheduled two phone interviews, both technical. And yeah, it was 1 hour each, all
In
programming.
what kind of questions, like what kind of things did they ask you for technical interview?
Yeah, so mostly just implement some API kind of things like here, how will you write some queue related problem? So I don't remember the specifics, but more like, okay, this is like a big problem and how will you break it down? How will you provide an interface to the outside
So was it
clients? Or
whiteboarding? Was it like whiteboarding? You had to write a
no,
code or?
weirdly, I had to write code on Skype window. That's the first.
Oh, nice. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Qualcomm is pretty old school that way. I don't think they have any. I don't know if they have it now, but back then it was just like we were on call, like they called me on my phone, and suddenly he's like, "Hey, do you have Skype? Let's just code something." I'm like, "Okay." So, and
Yeah,
then some puzzles,
it must
which
be so. So did when you wrote the code for Skype? What like
mm,
what about your syntaxes and all? What language did you choose, or did was it more like algorithmic?
no, I C programming, and I I usually whenever I write code for any interviews, I make sure my syntax is like absolutely 100% correct. It maybe it comes from like my OCD, but I can't write code if the syntax is not. Maybe you can miss like a little bit of things, but I don't really. I anyway use like non-text editor kind of a
Oh,
Vim or
really? What do you
something.
use?
So
What do you use?
I mean Vim is still a text
Nice,
editor, but we don't
nice.
really do any autocomplete or anything. I'm just used to uh,
So you don't use any
your
IDE
code.
like Sublime Text or
No,
like Visual Studio or anything. Okay.
no, mostly just VI. Yeah,
Okay. Nice. That is awesome. That's a OG
yeah, I like it.
programmer.
My car number plate also says OG.
Oh, nice. Okay. What car do you have?
Oh, I have a Lexus ES 350.
Nice.
I still
Okay.
have California plates, so California is still in my heart.
Nice. Okay. Hopefully you'll come back.
I will, I will.
Okay. Cool. So how was your 3 months of internship? What did you learn?
Oh man, it was a life changing internship. Some of it you have to cut, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I on my day one, my manager asked me who is going to be my mentor, and I pointed it to one guy, and he's like, "Good luck, you know. If they don't take you back to the college, we have an offer for you." So that was
Oh,
my day one.
wow.
I was very happy and excited about this whole 3 month journey because like I'm like, oh, this is a cool team, you know, like because team
Yeah.
is very important.
Right.
Uh, and they threw me directly into production code. Like my code actually sits on one of the Samsung devices right now. And as an intern, that's like a big achievement because a lot of times interns are given
Yeah. The
tasks which are
projects
just
which are
like
not like, yeah, prod environments.
which
Right.
are like
Right.
research and just like, hey, do this, try this. And this they told me this afterwards. They said, "Hey, this was your 3 month interview," and that's that's mostly what an internship is. It's like a
Yeah.
3 month
Totally.
interview, and
Yep. Yep.
you have a really good opportunity there instead of like a 1 hour interview. Like
Yeah.
3 months, you can prove yourself.
Right. That's why I
And
say in my videos that when you get internship and if your boss is asking you something to work on and if you're done, don't just wait and sit for next project.
yeah,
Go and ask for one because that shows initiative and
right.
that's because you are always under the watch when you are in when you are an intern.
Yeah, I mean, good that you pointed it out because a lot of good managers or bosses will do it purposely. They give you something small, and the smart ones know that you are done. And if you're just sitting there doing nothing, then they know that hey, this guy,
Yes,
their points are
absolutely.
cut off.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, definitely listen to
Yeah.
Yudi's
Ca
advice.
yeah. Thank you. Can you so I really want to understand what is the like what do people do as an software engineer in embedded systems or like whatever your role was. You don't have to go into specific of Qualcomm, but like what
Right.
exactly do you guys do?
Okay, so I was in Qualcomm, let's say, I was working on the sensor framework. So all your phone, so Qualcomm code obviously goes in Android phones, if you know, right? The Snapdragon
Yeah.
processor. So
Yeah.
the code sits on the Snapdragon processor. And let's say the sensor subsystem is all these sensors are connected, like axle, gyro, magnetometer, all these. So like when you pick up the phone, when you tilt the phone, all these are just small things. There is so many other things when even like a directional modem antenna and all these things. All
Mm,
of it is based on sensor. So as an embedded system software engineer, you would mostly be doing uh, like let's say there's a new sensor that has come up and you have
mm,
to integrate it with your processor, so you'll probably write a driver for it. So the driver will actually talk to like using SPI I2C protocols and
mm.
uh, all these serial like
And when you
UART. And
say you're writing it, what exactly like what language are you using at this point?
it's mostly C. A lot of it is C. If it comes a little above the like the hardware level, then a lot of C++. So C++ is the main focus. I don't think anyone in embedded writes any Java or Python code,
Mm,
but we do a lot of like shell scripting and Python and to like verify,
mm,
run tests. All of those things happen, but the processor code is a lot of C code
mm.
because there is DSP and there is ARM processor and there is communication between them. Uh, So mostly you will end up doing, even
Right.
at Amazon, we do a lot of C, C++.
That's awesome. So this is good because now I can say that when people are asking me what should they learn when they are in India and before coming,
Hmm.
C and C++ is the language to at
Yeah.
least master it before you come.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I literally, my resume still only says C as professional and C++ just beginner. So I can only write C programs, like very, very good C programs. But then once your fundamentals are clear about like general programming, you can pretty much move to like we can pick up things very fast. So
Mm,
like, object oriented, you will understand things very well. So
mm.
if you want to work on the low level, C programming is a must. Uh, and then you can move on to other things.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So sorry, I stopped you in between. So
Yeah.
you said so you write basically C code or like you write code on the
Hmm.
processor to basically fetch different events happening and then make
Yeah,
processor.
and then there's a lot of aspects to it. You have to throttle the rates and you have to combine different data. There's buffers. Ultimately you have to push the data out to the user, and
Hmm.
all of it goes through like different kind of Android framework when you're working on Android, for example, because all of this is Android ultimately.
Hmm.
A lot of embedded system work runs either Android or Linux, some form of Linux kernel. And
Hmm.
if it goes to like more real time, then free RTOS and all those RTOSes.
God. So this might be a little off question, but I get this
Yeah.
question a lot. Is there demand in embedded systems or like whatever, like VLCI, VLSI?
VLSI, right. So VLSI, I'm not an expert. I don't know much about
Hmm.
it. It goes more into hardware domain. Like you would probably be called a hardware engineer. And
Okay.
I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, whoever is an
Is
expert here.
watching. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But I personally feel VLSI and VHDL, and it kind of goes a little more into hardware side.
Okay.
So when there is chip manufacturing, they write RTL code, and then Like there is pre-silicon validation, post-silicon validation, all these things, uh, which is like like there is silicon,
Yeah.
which is our processor. So there is validation before that, there is validation after that.
Mm.
So all these roles have to exist. So companies like Qualcomm, Intel, Apple, they are always hiring. Like Microsoft, they do a lot of device work. Um,
And so this is for VLSI. What about
mhm.
embedded engineers,
Yeah,
like
when it
software?
comes to a little higher, when you come up from the stack, like a little away from hardware, but still in the embedded space, there is. Um, I, I like to look at it this way: like software has to run on something. It can't run on air, right? It has to run on some hardware.
Yeah.
So until we break that barrier, there will be a demand for firmware and embedded system engineers. You have, like, the products are all physical, like Apple Watch or Fitbit or any kind of fitness trackers. So all these things, a lot of embedded engineering is involved.
And you, so basically what you're saying is that there are a lot of, obviously there's a lot of gadget coming out, a lot of tech coming out, and each
Mhm.
tech coming out is going to need an embedded engineer, software engineer, which is working on
Yes.
that low level thing,
Hmm.
which also means that there's a lot of demand. You just have to find
There
jobs.
is.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there is not, I don't know if there is a lot of supply, especially in the US. Everyone wants to do just software. So we would see a lot of competition there. Embedded systems, yeah, there
That
is a
is
lot of
so
people,
interesting that you're
but
saying. Yeah.
not a lot of people want to do it.
Oh wow. Okay, so what I'm hearing is this is interesting that you're saying that there is a lot of demand, but we don't have people who's wanting to do it. So there are
Yeah,
jobs, people are just not looking for that.
right. There is uh, an industry need for this kind of expertise, and it's getting less and less by day because back in the days there used to be a lot of electronics engineers, and now everyone wants to do ML. They just want to run their import TensorFlow,
Yep, yep.
and it doesn't work that way. At least on the embedded, it's a lot of you have to use cables and poke into things and
Right.
measure signals, and so it's maybe still, I don't know if the pay gap is any different, to be honest. I personally don't think so, because like the embedded SDE is literally same as an SDE in
Yeah,
Amazon. So it's the
same.
you,
Okay.
you're just doing more uh, concentrated skill. It's a little
Mm.
different than software.
Yeah. Okay, so so I know that you finished your internship, you went back, you completed your masters,
Hmm.
and for your full time you did go back to Qualcomm.
Yes,
How did
I
that
did. Yeah.
conversion happen?
Yeah. So after my internship, I got an offer within 2 or 3 months,
Mm.
and uh, honestly, I just wanted to focus on my thesis, which was like really important, and I had to spend a lot of time, like 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day, maybe even more. So I decided I'm not gonna study for any more interviews. This is not the right time. So I just took the offer. And while going back to Qualcomm, I was offered a position in the VR team, which is virtual reality, augmented reality.
Mm.
So even though I did my internship in the sensors team, they did not have a spot. So good things happened. I went to VR team, and it was very interesting actually. So I
Mm.
learned a lot of uh, things in the VR space for 3 years.
Okay. Right. Okay. And then obviously you worked for Qualcomm. How long did you work before you switched to Amazon?
3 years. So from 2017 July to 2020 July. Uh,
Why did you switch?
Good question. um, I I was I was actually very happy in San Diego. Like San Diego is my favorite city in the US. Even though I haven't visited a lot of US, I have a little bit, but it still feels like that's where I would go and retire. Like that's where I want to go.
Nice.
So it was ideal. I was in San
Have you
Diego.
been to Florida? Have you been to
I
Florida?
have, yes. I love
Okay.
Florida too.
Okay.
But San Diego and LA has like that charm I really like.
LA, really? That
I
seems.
love LA. I
Oh,
love
wow.
LA.
Wow.
Especially like the like Mulholland Drive and Malibu and
Oh, yeah,
Beverly
yeah.
Hills.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah,
It's
you're
like my
talking like all the millionaire and billionaire people area. Like,
yes.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Cool.
But I loved San Diego. I loved working for the VR team. Very good team, very good people, and excellent work. And everything was perfect. And I don't know why it started bothering me. I was like, hey, I'm getting too comfortable. And if I don't break out of this right now, I would just be here and I would get stuck. Uh, so I was like, okay, um, let's just let's just do it. And I was approached by basically before this. Let me take a step back. I had applied to a couple of places, just wanted to see if I can interview and if
Hmm.
I still have those skills. And I got rejected outright. I got rejected from Amazon, Google, Apple, two teams in Apple. But that was back in 2018. And I was just like doing it for the sake of it, like just for fun.
Yeah.
But I bombed those interviews like bad. And I was like, okay, it's fine. I'm really happy here. Amazon approached again in LinkedIn, and the recruiter said, this is like a secret project. I can't tell you much, but it's very exciting. And I'm like, okay, that really excites me. I'm like, okay, might as well give the interview. And again, it was
But you've
pretty,
been already rejected before.
yeah, that was in 2018, so 2 years back.
And when
Like
was this?
this was 2020, so
Oh,
there was
okay.
still
So you
2 years in
recently
between.
switched. Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I switched last year.
Hmm.
Um, and again, this was embedded systems, so I did not really have to prepare for interviews as such extensively because that's what I do as my job as well.
Hmm.
So I was pretty confident I would be able to write embedded code. But if you ask me graphs, nah, I have to study. But I know that they don't ask all these questions for the kind of work they're looking for.
Yeah.
So I thought, again, okay, I went in with no expectations. I was like, I'm gonna just try it out, and this will be a good experiment. I will know my baseline where I'm at, and then I will study for 6 to 8 months,
Hmm.
and then apply for Amazon, Google again. So basically, I assumed that I'm gonna get rejected, and I started from that baseline because I there was absolutely zero interview preparation. Like
Hmm.
it wasn't even in my mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
and everything just worked out. Like
Okay. So you're working now at Amazon. Do you mind sharing, like, what's this? You don't have to give your salary. What's the salary range for this types of job in general on an average for you in US?
right. So Amazon works in a very nice, very different way. Okay. And I think I will take this opportunity to break it down for people because uh, I don't think not many people are transparent about this. And I think
Hmm.
it needs to be out there. Like knowledge increases when you share.
Yeah.
uh, there is different levels at Amazon. Like L4 is like the starting software
Hmm.
level, and then L5, L6, and so on. But when you get an Amazon offer, it's there is a term called total compensation, like TC, right? So TC consists of some portions of different amounts of money. So how it works is first 2 years you will have some bonus, right?
Hmm.
So year one is base salary plus some amount of bonus plus some amount of stocks that vest that
Mhm.
will make up your total comp. Second year, base salary, which is same, plus little less bonus than the first year, and a little more stocks that vest.
Mm.
So basically, at the start of first year, you will get X amount of stocks that will vest over 4 years. And first year, it's 5%, second is 15, third is 40, last is 40. I think that probably that keeps changing, but I don't know much.
And who wouldn't want Amazon stocks?
Right. So year three is very interesting because your bonus goes away. So now it's
Mm.
only base salary plus 40% or whatever percent stocks are vesting.
Percent of what? Percent of your salary?
Percent of X that you are given and in the beginning when you are offered. So in the offer, they will
Percent of
say,
your base salary.
no, it's not the percent of base salary. So when they offer you, they
Oh,
will say, this is your base salary and this is the number of units of stocks we are giving you,
okay. Mm.
which is let's for the simplicity say 100 stocks,
Mm.
right? So in year three, you will get 40 out of them, or whatever the percentage is. Let's say it is 40. So you will get base salary plus 40 stocks.
Mm.
And then year four again, base plus 40.
Mm.
So year one and year two have very small stock component plus there is some bonus.
Mm.
So what
Mm.
happens is the total comp can range from, I would say, like two for Seattle, I'm saying around 245 to 50K range, 250,000.
What? Wait, what?
Yes.
You're saying it so casually. It's like, yeah, 240, 250.
Yeah, I mean,
Wait,
it's a
I'm
lot of
just,
money.
yeah, yeah, I just have to digest this.
Okay, take your time. I'll have a sip of my hot water.
Yeah, yeah, this is okay. Yeah, I was assuming you're gonna say 150 to 200, but you said
That's the base.
245. That's awesome. Okay.
So,
But
and then what
but
happened?
is that's because you have 3 years of experience, right? Like that's probably your senior.
Yes, that's L5, which is second tier. L6 is even more. I'll give you an interesting example. So, this is what will happen. Let's say in someone's year three, let's say they have a base salary of 150,000, which is pretty normal in Amazon. It is possible to have a 150K base salary. And then let's say they get 40 stocks. And then the stock usually grows, right? So let's assume the stock has reached $5,000. So that makes it 200K in stocks plus 150 in base. So that makes up 350K of TC,
Wow. When can you
right?
sell the
And
stock?
you don't have to sell. I mean, I'm gonna keep it.
No, no, I know, but like if you have to, when
Oh,
can
when
you?
can you? Right. So that's what vesting is, right? So after year
Oh,
one,
so right, like after first year you get that much stock,
little bit.
and then
After
okay,
second year, you'll
okay.
get little bit. After
But if
year
you
three, you
quit,
will get.
but if you quit in the second year, you whatever you vested so far, that's what you
Only
take it.
that much.
Okay,
Yes.
got it.
So
Okay.
it's a fair system. Every year you will get some amount of money, which is like, let's say you're, and they make sure it increases like 245, 250, and then maybe like 260, 300. It keeps going up.
Wow.
Uh,
I need to
so,
apply. Does your company hire for project manager?
oh, hell yeah, a lot of them, a lot of technical project
Please let me
managers.
know if your team is hiring.
Let's talk
Anyway,
this offline.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Send your resume. I'll refer you.
Okay, all right, all right. Coming back, so that's awesome. So you gave that salary range.
Mhm.
I'm obviously they are also take care of employees in terms of H1B, and it's a big company, so I don't have to even
Yeah.
worry about that part. Uh, Now, just a little technical, based on what your experience is so far, like 4 or 5 years of experience working in the professional industry, what are some of the skills you think are important for students to learn when they are studying for this type of role?
Okay, I mean, I can get into technical details as well, but one thing I I thought is the most important, and I have learned it over the years. I was one of the people who thought, oh hey, I have the technical skill. I don't have to be a good communicator, or I don't have to express my views in a clear way. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I know I can code. I don't have to be articulate and all these things. But I think that's like number one. I would put it at number one.
So
Being able to be,
communication skills.
yeah, being able to express your views very clearly, uh, and so that the other person gets is very confident on what you're saying, right? Because if you're not, you may be a really genius person, but you can't express it in any form, written or uh, over voice or video, audio, anything.
Mhm.
But if you can't express it, it's probably worthless.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I agree. I 100% agree with this thing. I've said it in many
yeah,
videos, and I 110% agree that
yeah,
soft skills are more important than your hard skills. People don't realize it because you can have excellent coding skills or you can have excellent technical skills, but when you're in working in a team and nobody can
yeah,
understand you, you're of no value. So I
hmm
can
yeah.
understand.
Right, and people want to work with you, and basically just not don't be a jerk. In short,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, and mostly technical skills just specific to your domain. So, like, let's say someone's doing machine learning, then they should do ML and data science and all those things. But when it comes to embedded, it's just like follow your coursework, and basically all the basics will still be used. Like for whoever is studying electronics, your SPI and I2C protocols are still being used in the industry. So it's good to know them. That doesn't mean you have to like remember every bit of it, but when it comes to working, at least having a basic understanding of, like, just have a high level idea of a lot of things. And then when you're given a specific task, you can dive deep into that particular domain and go from there. That would be my advice rather than like, well, the PhD is a little different. It's like getting deep into one thing, but like for industry, it's better to be well versed and have uh, a broader perspective. And then when you're asked to do something, you can go more details.
Hmm. Okay. Awesome. I know there's a lot more things we can cover, but I want to keep it right here, and we'll definitely
Yeah.
bring you back in to talk about several other topics. Is there anything you want to talk about which I missed out?
Oh, I think we have a lot to talk about. We should do this more often. Should do a
Absolutely. And
weekly series.
yes, yes, 100%, 100%. But anyway, this was awesome. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be inspiring for a lot of students to see your profile and your journey from, coming with 1 year of experience going to Qualcomm and Amazon and all the fun stuff. So hopefully people are
Yeah.
inspired. But again, thank you so much for sharing. And I definitely would love to bring you back in and we'll talk more about other fun stuff. Until our next one.
Keep smiling, keep hustling.
Awesome.